saw it last year. This was a team that was scared to give the ball to Jordan Love.
Receiving core was not great. Ranked number 1 in receiving error last season. I think Jordan Love needs a little bit of slack. Just a little bit. Not a whole bunch, but just a little bit.
Oh, I'm gonna roast you for that. Nah, I'm kidding.
I'm not in love. I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm not in love with Love. Not like, don't get me wrong. I admit he's like a bottom tier 2 quarterback in this league. I'm not gonna argue that. But like, there is some context there that I think should be explored a little bit. You know, I know this is technically his 6th year, but this is his 3rd year as a starting quarterback. Last year, he was dealing with some injuries. Week 1, came back early in week 4 versus the Vikings. That was, and then they fell down early. Obviously, he didn't look good. After that, they rattled off some wins, and then they played the Jags in week 8, which he suffered a groin injury, and he left in the 3rd quarter. Wasn't spectacular in these games. He was doing enough to, get them over the hump. I think we can look at it a little bit in advanced stats from the Warren Sharp report. Pre-bye, we were negative 0.1 on EPA per attempt. We were 44% in success rate, 7.6 yards per attempt, 61% completion. Now, post-bye in week 11, we were plus 0.2 in EPA per attempt. We were 49% success rate. We were 8.5 yards per attempt. We were 65% completion. And numbers-wise, what that kind of looks like was pre-bye. It was 21st, 17th, 12th, and 32nd. And then the post-bye, number 5, number 9, number 2, and number 17. But Christian, he was still throwing picks and when he came from the bye. Yes, he needs to fix that. Like, that is unexcusable. But let's also look. Jake, you already mentioned it. Receiving core was not great. Ranked number 1 in receiving error last season. 22% of his incompletions were due to receiving error. I think that's a big factor. Like that, like not a lot of quarterbacks have to deal with that. And another thing, they played the 6th toughest schedule versus the pass. This year they're coming up against the projected 16th toughest schedule versus the pass. So hopefully that should his numbers should be better coming into this next season. I will say this 3rd year is like a big year for him. Like, he needs to cut down on the interceptions and, play more within this offense. You got Josh Jacobs back there. So I think with a healthier Jordan Love and, more of a, hopefully they got in his head this offseason and him struggling so much of like, hey, bro, you ain't got to do all that. You're not Brett Favre. You're not him, bro.
Yeah, tell him that. No, it's look, I was very much ready to come in here and flame Jordan Love, and I still will do it.
You have a great argument. Like, I can't defend all of it, but I just wanted to lay out some not excuses, but some things that deserve a little.
I agree.
A little talking point.
I will say this offense. We saw it last year. This was a team that was scared to give the ball to Jordan Love. Now, again, I know some of that is like it's not all that we're scared to give it to Jordan Love. It's also that we are scared to give it to our receivers because we know they won't catch the ball. So I kind of feel that to a degree, right? Like, I understand that, but the data don't lie. He had, in his first 7 games as a full-time starter for the team, he had 250 attempts. In the last 7 games, he had 176 attempts. He went down from 28 passes or so a game to 23. And that was intentional because they were saying...
Hey, we over here complain about Jalen Hurts.
I have a whole short on that, buddy. Everybody go check out our Instagram or TikTok page. Go watch that. That's exactly what I said. I was like, he had identical passing attempts to Jalen Hurts in the last 7 games of their seasons. And everybody talking about Jalen Hurts doesn't throw it enough. Nobody says that about Jordan Love. So, I digress, though. I don't want to, like, receivers are bad. Yes, I get that. He still had Josh Jacobs, who was a stud last year, 1,300 yards. He had a great offensive line. He has Matt LaFleur. Like, he has a lot of help, and while I can't really help him with his receivers dropping passes, What I can help is the fact that this dude will constantly make boneheaded decisions week in and week out. And it's like, how long do we need to see until you stop doing that? Because, I mean, again, I get that it's only his third year as a starter, but he's been in this system for 5 years going into year 6. And it's like, at some point, I need you to clean it up, dude. I need you to clean this up. You have great coaching. You have a great run game. You have time to throw. And I will also say this. This is a little bit of a knock on Packers fans. I'm sorry, Packers Nation. I got to call you out. Everybody last year, if your name wasn't Dan Orlovsky, knew your receiving core was not good. We all said it. We all looked at your receiving core and said, you have a bunch of 2s and 3s, y'all. You do not have a 1. And you all told us it didn't matter because, well, we have so many of them, though. There's so many. We have so much depth, and we have like 18 tight ends. And we all said, guys, y'all do not have a number 1. And it's like, does Minnesota really have a better receiving core than us? It's like, yeah, they have Justin Jefferson. It's like, I don't know. It's like, y'all are dumb. And now we're at the end of the year. And I get, like, Packers fans are not out here sycophantically defending Jordan Love. They're not sitting out here, like, they acknowledge this dude needs to clean his shit up. I don't understand what his problem is. But, like, part of why you pay a quarterback the way you pay Jordan Love, which is a manageable contract. I'm not pretending it's not. The AAV is a little misleading, but you give Jordan Love as much money as he got because you have confidence that he can win without those guys around him. And he couldn't. Now again, can't really help when dudes are just dropping passes. Like it's not really a Jordan Love problem. But I do think it speaks volumes that, like, with Aaron Rodgers for a decade and a half, Aaron Rodgers like, can we get a receiver? And they're like, bro, we don't need a receiver. You're gonna go out there and throw for 40 touchdowns. We don't need a receiver. We need to build our line. We need to be able to run the ball. Maybe sometimes we don't even care about running the ball because they didn't care about running the ball for years in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. And we need to get defensive players. That's what we need. And now they've seen 2 years of Jordan Love, and they're like, we need to get him another receiver. We need to get him one. And it was the right move. I was glad they did it, and it was a great moment at the draft because it happened in Green Bay as the first receiver they drafted. Everybody's crying. It was an amazing moment. I'm not knocking that, but, like, you see what they think of Jordan Love. They say Jordan Love needs help. We'll go get him a receiver. We're going to throw the ball less to Jordan Love. We'll go get Josh Jacobs. Like, this is not – Jordan Love is a good quarterback. Like, I'm not saying he's not. He's been to the playoffs back-to-back years as a starter. Like, you know, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are not as good as Jordan Love, and maybe they even have more talent around them than Jordan Love does, and they don't get done what Jordan Love does. Like, I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback, but I do think we need to be a little more realistic on Jordan Love. And we need to understand, I got Bill Simmons out here calling him a top 8 quarterback. What am I supposed to do with that?
I ain't saying all that.
What am I supposed to do with that? So